You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Los Angeles. Here's Eddie Garcia.
The NBA was back in action after taking Election Day off. In games of note, the Cavaliers beat the Pelicans in New Orleans 131-122. Cleveland is now the only remaining undefeated team left in the NBA, now 9-0. The only remaining undefeated team because the Thunder suffered their first loss of the season, losing to the Nuggets in Denver 124-122. Oklahoma City's now 7-1 on the season. For Denver star Nikola Jokic, a triple-double, 23 points, 20 rebounds, 16 assists in the win. Warriors down the defending champion Celtics in Boston 118-112. Golden State's now 7-1. They've won all 5 of their games on the road this season. Boston, meanwhile, suffers their first home loss of the year and is now 7-2 on the year. Suns beat the Heat 115-112. Phoenix is 7-1. They've won 6 in a row, 5-0 at home. Kevin Durant led them with 32 points. LeBron James had 39 points for the Lakers, but not enough for a win. They lose to the Grizzlies 131-114.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Law is in?
Well, I mean, you look at everything that Law brings to the table. You're talking. He's the best blocker Alabama's had at the wide receiver position in a while. Then you look at his versatility. He can contribute in all phases of special teams. So things of that nature. So and then you look at his ability when he does have the ball. He doesn't get the ball in his hands a lot, but every time he gets his hands on the ball, it's normally a good play, a big play for Alabama. So there's that aspect of it. So it'd be exciting to see if his skill set does get taken advantage of, especially this week after a bye.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you need to get to on the recruiting before we get to break?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you jumping in with us. We're going to go ahead and get to break here so we can bring in fully engage on the Tide 100.9 side of the house. Welcome into the program this morning. Don't forget you can always get in on the conversation on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline, and that's 205-342-9904. As we go to break here, I want to remind you, got a little time to plan it out, but do not forget about the Live to Lead conference, the Abundant Mindset, happening February 20th, 2025, featuring John Maxwell, #1 leadership expert, Canadian journalist and author, Malcolm Gladwell, author of The Tipping Point, amongst other books, John Gordon, best-selling author and keynote speaker, Shante Lowe, 4-time Olympian and author and comedic thought leader, Micah Jr., along with myself and other local Tuscaloosa talent and coaches and speakers. And we have a great day planned for you. You can go ahead and register now and get your table reserved. The table is $400 for a table of 8, or individual tickets at $70 a piece. Go to martinhouston.org and click the Live to Lead, and it'll take you and get you reserved. That's Live to Lead, pouring back into the community of Tuscaloosa. And if you'd like to sponsor some great sponsorship opportunities, just shoot me an email, martin@martinhouston.org, and say, hey, I'd love to partner with you. That's Live to Lead. Live to Lead, brought to you by the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions organization.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and a happy Thursday to you. Getting off to a pretty quiet start on the freeways and side streets. We're not looking at any major hiccups right now, but what we do have, as always, you guessed it, construction. And we do have McFarland, both east and westbound, long-term road work between Jack Warner Parkway and Lurleen Wallace.
I'll still be making the plays. You'll be making the bets. And finally getting the sports glory you deserve. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go.
Also take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Keep it locked. into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're glad to have everybody on with us. We're live, local, and got things rolling. Got a little recruiting going, and we're going to keep that conversation going kind of as we were ending. We were talking about Kendrick Law and the bye week, so we're going to talk about that. But as we get ready to get out of here, don't forget, you heard it in the break, North River Timber Company. If you have timberland in West Alabama or Mississippi, East Mississippi, you need to call Courtney White and his team, 205-242-5127. That's North River Timber Company, LLC, timber harvesting, appraisals, and management. And if you don't want to call, but you want to shoot them a message, shoot it to northrivertimberco@gmail.com.
All right, as we kind of wrapped up the recruiting conversation, unless you had any more questions for me?
I did not.
All right, so let's take a look at the injury report, and we talk a lot about how the bye week is great for getting healthy, getting guys back to 100% or as close to that as possible. And if you look at Alabama's this week, the only two injuries we have listed are Keon Sabb and Cole Adams, who are out most likely for the season with the type of injuries that they sustained. I think that's great news. You've seen a couple of extra guys on that list that were out for whatever reasons. We haven't heard exactly, but Bama's just down to two guys. Now, on the other hand, LSU has 12 guys that are out for this game. And then they have a couple guys, and that's guys like Harold Perkins, probably their best defensive player. You look at Thomas Crawford and Garrett Dillinger, offensive lineman, Crawford being a starter on that offensive line that has been talked about giving up very few sacks throughout the course of this season. They have two running backs out. And then you look at the probable guys and questionable guys. They have C.J. Daniels, a key contributor at the wide receiver position. Wes Weeks, one of their linebackers that has stepped up since Harold Perkins went out. And their best defensive tackle, Jacobian Guillory, is out as well. So while Alabama got healthy, it wasn't a lot of help for LSU with the key players that they do have out.
Yeah, wow. That maybe the football guys are shining on Alabama after Ole Miss. So we can hear the excuse again. If we beat LSU, that we beat them because everybody was injured. So, if that's what it takes for us to run the table, so be it. But it's good to see that, Alabama, is getting healthy. Wish all those young men the best that's, injured both on Alabama and, LSU. Cause man, this game is so short and your career is so short at the college level. And for most, that's it. And who knows with the craziness of, the NCAA, whether they're going to give guys time back or not. But,
right.
It'll be interesting to watch and to see. So, that's, advantage Alabama based on that report, especially with some of the guys. They don't just have the injuries. They have some big time guys, and the Weeks thing may be the biggest if he's not available. He may be the biggest because Perkins was already out and Weeks has stepped in. You would now be playing your third guy.
Right. Yeah. And that is, and the best part for Alabama is Perkins was the spot last year. Perkins was the guy that was tasked with watching Jalen as he came out of the backfield. That wasn't very successful. So now you're looking, okay, Weeks is his backup. that's already a step down. Who's going to be that guy? Is it still Weeks? Is it somebody else? Is it there's 2 Weeks at linebacker on this team. So if you see another Weeks out there, that's the brother. It's West and Weeks. They both play linebacker. So if you don't see 2 Weeks out there, one of them's out.
Okay, interesting. I did not realize that.
Yeah, so just clear that up for Bama fans. We'll be like, oh, Xavier said Weeks was hurt. No, there's 2 of them. But yeah, so if that's out, who takes that responsibility? You're already having to switch it up because of Perkins out. Now, if West is out, who's that guy? And when you have that issue, you're putting your defense in even more turmoil with an athletic quarterback, which is something that they have struggled with throughout the course of this season, an athletic quarterback. And that was when Perkins was healthy. That was when West Weeks was healthy. So there's a lot of things there with that. But, we can go ahead and we're talking about the bye week, injuries, all that stuff, and we'll continue this conversation through the other side. But who's the guy that you look at that has benefited the most from this bye week?
Yeah, and I think we probably will need to carry this conversation over because I'm going to throw one guy in that's probably nobody's gonna think about. But we had talked about this guy earlier in the prior week or so, potentially needing some. We didn't say this, but we in some ways we insinuated it. But I would say just right off the bat, I think Jalen Milroe is going to benefit, tremendously. Just from a couple things. One is whatever's been going on with him, whether it's physical, mental, whatever it is, he's been off. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's now had time to sit down, recalibrate, and if he was injured, then get healthy, hopefully. If it was mental, he's had a chance to see all of those things. And as I mentioned, he had a week where he could really hone in on maybe he, picked back up or reverted back to one of his bad habits. So I think Jalen would be my easy answer first.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Jalen is the easiest answer when you look at things. And, we talked about it before the season started, but he's a grad student. He doesn't have the workload that a regular athlete has before they've gotten their degree. And I think as you're talking about being able to take more time to watch film, to rehab any nicks, bumps, bruises that he's taken, but just to understand and go back and look at what he's seen. That's more time with Sheridan. That's more time with DeBoer, just picking their brains and using this time to, as you said, hone in on what he does good, where he's maybe, you said, gone back to a bad habit, but he's had that for 2 weeks, and he had that a week where it was, I'm not even trying to game plan for LSU. I'm focused on my game and how I can get better to help this team win. So I think Jalen is by far the easiest one to pick up. And there's a couple more and I think I might know where you're going with the one that is really important. I might know. I think he's a little bit younger, but Jalen, I think it's huge for Jalen. And as Curtis Moore says, great point. Jalen been a graduate is like with what LSU had with Joe Burrow. And you've seen that happen with guys when they've had that extra year without the normal workload of a student.
The last two guys to have it in the SEC that had the biggest impact was both LSU players that both won the Heisman. Jayden Daniels, was a graduate last year, Joe Burrow. But the guy who started this whole thing at quarterback was Russell Wilson. Most people forget that when he left North Carolina State and went to Wisconsin. He only ended up being a 4th round pick, but if he had stayed at NC State, he probably wouldn't have been drafted at all. But yeah, it makes a difference. It made a difference. I can attest to that personally, Xavier. When my last year I was in graduate school and I had, a class on Thursday night, and then I had 2 independent studies as I was transitioning, into, a graduate school under human resource management. So you get a lot of time, you get a lot of extra film, and you get to pick up some stuff that maybe even the coaches don't pick up. So I think Jalen definitely, Jalen definitely, will benefit. But there's other guys. We'll talk about those other guys on the other side. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Hey, listen, if you're a reader and you want to get empowered to encourage others, and you want to create a culture of a champion, you want to win, you want to know how to go about building people up versus tearing them down, you want to know how to maximize their potential so that your potential is maximized, you need to get a copy of the book, The Encouragement Factor. Give Me One More Inch. If you're watching the live stream, all you have to do is scan the QR code. If you're listening, driving through your car, just write down The Encouragement Factor. Give me one more inch, and it will help you and your organization reach its maximum potential.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, hello and a happy Thursday to you. Getting off to a pretty quiet start on the freeways and side streets. We're not looking at any major hiccups right now, but what we do have, as always, you guessed it, construction. And we do have McFarland, both east and westbound, long-term road work between Jack Warner Parkway.
When you choose Brevant Seeds, you don't just win. You win so big, the very ground beneath your feet cries tears of joy. You win so big that second place feels like a participation trophy. You win so big, you might as well be harvesting buried treasure. Oh, sorry, just one more. When you choose Brevant Seeds, you don't just win. You hit the damn jackpot. Don't just win. Win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/winbig to get started.
The Deli Press, Friday, November the 15th at 2 p.m. as we broadcast live and pick a winner to go watch the Tide take on Oklahoma. Compliments of Pepsi and the Deli Press. Roll Tide.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com.
Ask your doctor about SkyRizzy today and visit SkyRizzy.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZY to learn more.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather unseasonably warm today. A mix of sun and clouds. The chance of a few scattered showers through tonight. The high today 81. Tonight's low 65. Tomorrow, partially sunny. Again, the chance of scattered showers. The high at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It is a Thursday edition. We have covered recruiting. We talked about the injury report, and we just hit in on who benefited the most from this bye week. And we all know Jalen Milroe and what he's been able to do after bye weeks, and we're hoping that continues this week as he is growing as a player. But there's a couple more names that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off. I'm going to say Alabama's right side of his offensive line. I'm going to go with Jaden Roberts and Elijah Pritchett. I know both of those guys have been banged up. Talked about Coach Cat saying
most guys wouldn't be able to play with what Roberts has been playing with. We know Pritchett was banged up. That's why he was missing time early in the year. Looked a little slow still coming out of his stance sometimes. So I think this week was huge for both of those guys to get back right.
Yeah, and on an offensive line, it's so important because one piece can end up having a trickle down effect on all five. So,
right.
If all of a sudden Vandermark doesn't have the ability to pull like Roberts, which I don't think he does, right? And so you end up taking out portions of your playbook, which in turn impacts the other guys. Does Vandermark have the same ability on the combo blocks with Brailsford? And so it's just, Pritchett is a much more athletic guy, in my opinion. He's more athletic than Wilkin, but Wilkin seems to do a better job on the pulling plays. It's weird. You wouldn't think that. But it seems like when Wilkin has been in there and he's been able to pull, he seems to have been effective. So having, and maybe that was because Elijah has been a little hurt, X and limited. So, I could agree with you that would be, a offensive line, specifically right side, impacting the entire team and the entire game plan.
Right. Who you got to add? Because I got a couple guys on defense, but I think your guy is on offense. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Did he get to? Was he able to vote the other day?
No, he's not because he's only 17. I think this will be huge for Ryan Williams, right?
I do too.
For two reasons. One is he's played this many games, and even though he is getting open and stuff, he's working harder than he's ever had to work to get open. It's a more physical game. You go back and look at Tennessee came in and said, we're going to hit him. I mean, he got hit more in that Tennessee game than he has all year. And I think that adds up. And so I think just a refreshing standpoint will be good for the young freshman. Number two is he has the same opportunity that we were talking about earlier. When you see a coach on the sideline motion that he has to keep going out and then turn around and say that vocally to whoever he was talking to, then you know that there's some coaching points that they were honing in on. And so I expect to see more precise route running from not just him, but specifically from the young freshman having a week to just hone in on getting rested up and getting, we're doing that fundamentals with Scotty Hollins to get the fundamentals down. I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that's where you go because everybody talks about that freshman wall. And once again, he's not your normal freshman. He's a year younger, so that means his body's had a year less to develop and mature physically. And he's gotten beat up the last couple weeks just because of the physicality of the game.
And is he not is he not playing the most amongst the receivers?
I think him and Jeremy are pretty split on time.
Yeah, they're split on time, but he's the most targeted. He has the most catches. He's probably been hit the most.
Right.
Even though he makes people look bad, he's gotten hit a lot. And plus they have him on punt return and things like that. So I think it'll be good for him.
Yeah, I think it's good for the entire team, but there's certain guys that you really want to look at and say, hey, this is a good thing for him because of this reason. Now, for me, I think there's two guys defensively that this is really good for for Alabama. And that is my number one guy is Quay Russaw, because he got banged up. He got hurt. He missed time. He's had to heal while playing. So I think a week off, getting that, because that kid is explosive at that position, and he makes a lot of plays, and we haven't seen him be able to do that really since he got banged up. He's made a few plays, but he's just a step slow. So I think this past week has been really good for him to get healthy and get back right.
I totally agree. That's a great insight. I forgot about, because he kept playing, and he wasn't hurting the team, but he haven't had any of those explosive off the edge pressures or sacks since that game. I had totally forgot about how good a start he had to the season. He may be that difference maker on getting to the quarterback. Yeah.
And then I'll say this. I was going to say one, but thinking about it, two. There's two guys in the secondary. I think this is good for Xavier. Same thing, freshman wall, a lot of pressure, been thrown at a lot. Hey, come back, settle out, get the basics down right and everything. And then the other guy that I really want to talk about is Bray Hubbard. We saw what he did against Missouri, but now he's had a extra week as that guy, getting the reps with the ones, going into this game. So he's more settled in. You got the first start nerves out the way. You're going on the road for a big game, but I think this bye week is very beneficial to those two guys in the secondary.
Another good point, and I think Bray may benefit the most. This is his second start?
This will be his second start.
So just think about that for a second. This is the first time he's got big time minutes and a lot of data, right?
Right.
He got a lot of film, a lot of data to review and analyze. He graded out on PFF. He was the highest graded safety in their poll. So that's cool. But there's things that he probably is able to pick up that he's never had opportunity to be. All right, now Bray, we've told you this in concept, but this is where we want you to, how we want you to play this versus what you did, even though it didn't hurt us and things like that. So interesting. Bray, I would go all in on Bray. A lot of guys.
Do you have anybody on the defense real quick before we get to break? Do you have anybody on the defensive side that you think this would be really good for?
Not really. I think you probably would have hit the guys that I would say. One of my concerns though, X, and it's more Campbell than Lawson. Man, is Campbell just trying to get through this season? I don't see that dog in him that I've seen.
The fire.
Well, just his physicality at the point of attack, and things, and some of the angles he's taken on his tackles seem to be more about just getting the guy down versus coming up in there and laying the wood. Like I said, I don't know.
I get what you're saying, and that's the possibility because Jihad could be a high draft pick at the end of this year. But I think it's more he's thinking too much. And so I don't think he feels comfortable. I don't think he has felt 100% comfortable in this defense. So even though he's made plays throughout the year, he's thinking more than he is just letting his natural play flow. Because you go back to the Vandy game, he would be sitting and then, you were like, come on, and then he would attack. When you were watching it. So I think he's done too much thinking versus letting his skill set take over because of eyes here, eyes there with his defense. I think it's more mental.
I would agree with that in the Vanderbilt game, but even in that Vanderbilt game, he had times to lay the wood on guys, which had nothing to do with thinking, and he didn't finish. And like I said, I don't know. It could be that it's just, and I need to make sure that everybody hear it. I don't think he's playing bad. Yeah. I just think he has more, if that makes sense. I thought he may end up being one of the dominant guys in this defense more so than what I had seen him be in last year's defense. And that's the part I'm talking about. And it could be thinking, it could be hesitancy. But I just want to see more of that dog from him these last 4 games, and hopefully we'll see that. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation going. Ask a couple comments. Curtis Moore asked a question about a player that you may want to address on the other side, and then we can wrap things up. You listen to the Martin Houston Show, and with Martin and Xavier, we're powered by Box Eye Care. BoxEyeCare.com, 205-342-0660.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey everybody, it's Gary Harris. Coming up Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show, we are loaded. The coach, Ellis Johnson, breaks down SEC football. Orlando Ledbetter joins me for the Atlanta Falcons report, and my pal Jeff Spiegel, sports anchor at ABC 3340, plus your phone calls and more. That's Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, moving with a purpose on those Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Not seeing any major hiccups in traffic right now. We are looking at the construction zones, and that might slow you down from time to time. And also on Skyland Boulevard, you're patchy but steady between 2059 and
5.3. The Bear is brought to you by North River Outdoors. Check us out at NorthRiverOutdoors.com.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea.
Pick up or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
The Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at The Venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajama's, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's The Venue. You can find them online at thevenuetuscaloosa.com, located off of Watermelon Road just past Sokol Park. That's The Venue, Tuscaloosa's new favorite hangout. Make it yours.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. You had a little bit to finish up on that conversation?
No, Curtis Moore II was just asking you about the Money Jackson in terms of benefiting from the bye week, saying he got carted off against South Carolina, although he came back for the clinching interception. This is just an extra week to potentially get his body right.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's one of those things where he came back and made a play and has continued to play. But every player on every team benefits from a bye week one way or another. So hopefully he's back at 100%. So it's a good thing there. Just real quick, what do you want to see from the coordinators this week?
Utilize what your team does best. Build a game plan around their skill set. What great coaches do is they find out what their team, they have their base and their foundation, but they have a variety of things and elements in their package. in their plan, and they figure out how to best utilize their talent. So on the offensive side of the ball, want to see them utilize, their skill sets as a whole. And that's not just about Jalen. That's about use Kendrick Law to stretch the field horizontally with some speed sweeps. Throw maybe a bubble screen early in the game to make those corners have to stay out there. Set up that, but then also use Jalen around the edge, Xavier, and then come back and hit him up the middle with what looks like to be the same, maybe a draw where you fake the bubble screen and give it to the running back up the middle, run the speed, fake the speed sweep to the edge, and then give it to the running back up the middle. So,
yeah, and for me defensively, when we're talking about what we want to see from the coordinators, break your trends. You said it. Do what your team does best. This team has amazing blitzers all across the field. We talked about Quay. Quay and what he can do. But Jihad and Deontay are your best two blitzers by far. Use them. Malachi. Yeah, and Malachi. So you're talking about a team that has guys that you can bring from every level. Let's do that. Let's bring these guys. Let's get after this quarterback. Let's move him off his spot so that your young DBs like Bray and Xavier aren't out there on the island so long by themselves. Because Nussmeier, given time with these wide receivers at LSU, can carve up your defense. But it's a Thursday edition of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. I'm Xavier. That's Martin. We had Chase pressing all the right buttons for us this morning. Hey, what a great day, and we will catch you tomorrow.
And remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.